$110,000 in student loan debt. My student loan debt story. This is not a story of pity. I took out the loans, so it's on me to pay them back. But I know this is something that a lot of people are dealing with, and you'll see on the thumbnail where it says suffocating. Well, you know the feeling. It really is suffocating. So you're in this situation where you're literally just trying to figure out how to hang on. I always heard a lot of people say, hey, I'm just not going to pay it back. I wanted to achieve wealth, travel, be financially free. So ruining my credit on my way was not an option. How was I going to work through this? How was I going to maintain and overcome it? Well, that's what this is about. First of all, here's how I got to that $110,000 in student loan debt. I'm from Virginia, right on the Tennessee state line. And for several years after high school, I had been working. I was working in a sales job, but I always wanted to go back to college. And the time had come. I decided I was going to attend Auburn University in Alabama. Now, I do want to make sure to point out, I felt spiritually led to attend Auburn. This wasn't something where I just said, hey, I love the colors. I'm a big Bo Jackson fan. You won't believe it, but a lot of people just simply make that bad decision. The way that it came about for me to go to Auburn is out of this world, and I can share that in another story. But I just want to draw the distinction that it wasn't simply just some idea that I just wanted to go there because I always had a passion about it. I knew nothing about it to begin with. And then after being led to go there, started doing my research on it. They had supply chain management and logistics, which is what I wanted to take. And that was the college that I ended up attending. With me going back to school and the fact that I had made good money before leaving my job to go back to school, I did not qualify for FAFSA. What I was going to do at first was go to the community college in Alabama. Now, I knew this would save me some money, and it wasn't far from Auburn. I'd be living right off campus anyway in Auburn, but I would go to the community college and save some money. So that is exactly what I did. I knew in general what it was going to cost based on, how much it would cost per credit hour. But I didn't know the overall total cost. But I got there, I started in school, went to the community college, and understand I graduated in less than 3 calendar years. Now, not knowing the full cost, that is on me. By the way, I went to the community college, summer, fall, spring, summer, then went to Auburn. I was midway through when I really started to understand the full cost, but you're too far in as far as student loans to turn back. Now, because I did not qualify for FAFSA, I had to get private student loans. And then once I'd been there working while I was at school, then my income fell down and I qualified for FAFSA and got government student loans. So that's how it worked. I go to Auburn. As I said, it was all business as far as going to school, getting it done fast. So I really did try to save as much money as possible. I had every single class I was going to take mapped out literally from almost the time I got there to the time I left. Now I'm already figuring out how much money can I make, what would be probably the average that I'll get paid when I get out, and I'm starting to calculate what those student loans are going to be. So I started to get a ballpark figure. Already at that point, I knew I was going to have some challenges, most likely, but I put it on paper, started to figure out what I need to do so I could at least make the right decision job-wise on where I should live, because cost of living can affect so much, right? I graduate and I had what I want to say was about 18 months of a grace period, or there was a deferment there, I do know. So I go through that period. I'm living in Alabama still. I'm staying focused, saving what I can, because I know this time's coming when those loans will have to be paid. Well, that time comes. Now, I did work extremely hard. I was able to move up. I ended up moving to Maryland. My first installment is due. The payment that I was going to have to pay was $1,249 a month. Being in Maryland, I also had to spend about $1,200 to $1,400 a month where I was living. So I tried to see if I could figure out if I could get some type of extension on the loan payments. Well, I couldn't. Both my private at the time and my government student loans were going to be 10 years. That was going to be the total payment from all of them, was going to be that $1,249 a month. So because I made too much, I couldn't redo them. So what I had to do then was consolidate all of it. So I moved the government student loans and the already private student loans into one payment where I could extend it out over 20 years. And I knew that that would bring down the amount that I had to pay. This period of having to make that $1,249 payment while I figured it out, very, very difficult period. So I do want to make sure that you understand you mentally have to try and keep it together. Definitely hard times, but I'm working, trying to improve, trying to move up in work. So you have that weight to carry, but it's just a part of it. Once I consolidate, it takes it down to $860 a month. So I'm saving nearly $400 a month. Now that definitely helped, but that still, in my book, is a high student loan payment. All this time, I stayed focused on trying to get better at my job, improve, because I know that if I can continue to raise my income up, that is going to help my situation. I end up moving south, right? I end up moving to Atlanta, Georgia. At the same time, my income is steadily going up. I start to do a reconsolidation. Again, I extend it back out to 20 years, but this is where I was disciplined, and I knew I would be. I made the same payment or more. So when I extended it out and interest rates had went down, my payment that I had to make was lower, but I continued to make that same payment of $860 or higher. So it quickly brings all that interest down, right? And I reconsolidated at the new amount that I owed, obviously. I could do a video on how you mitigate this situation in the first place, but because I was in this situation, right, something I went through, this one's more so about at least the 3 things I did that helped me overcome the immediate situation of trying to figure out how I was going to make these payments, right? You're going through a period of simply trying to keep your head above water. It really is like suffocating. It was a difficult situation. There was no other way out for me other than to reconsolidate. I knew that reconsolidating would help me to get those loans in at least a position where I could make the payment, and if something happened, I could survive through it. Having good credit allowed me to reconsolidate. Had I not been able to do that, which is extremely important, I would not have been able to get the loan to get a lower payment, right? So we'll say it in reverse. Making sure to protect my credit, making sure that I also reconsolidated to get where I could at least make that payment. Another thing, a third thing, is being willing. I was always willing to move. If you can move to a place where the cost of living is lower, but it's a city you'll enjoy or a place you'll enjoy, but you can also make more money, that allows you more disposable income to be able to make over and above your payments. So that's another thing that's extremely important that a lot of people simply aren't willing to do. Some people, they just want to live back home where they're from. Some people just want to live in New York, California. Well, the expense that comes with that could be the very thing that is bearing you and keeping you from getting out of your situation. So I had a willingness to move and go where I needed to go to help me overcome that situation. The other thing that I see people do that is just flat out stupid. See people, tons of student loan debt, yet they're riding in one of the nicest cars you can think of, spending all kinds of money because they get an attitude, well, it doesn't matter. I'm stuck in this situation anyway. I might as well enjoy it. Terrible thinking. I drove a simple car. It wasn't trash, right? But I kept it simple. I wasn't going to go out here making $800 a month car payments. I was going to keep it simple, just knowing that every single dollar I bought in made a difference. What that allowed me to do was reach a situation where things kind of started to change, and I made the decision to start investing in real estate. It was these investments that helped me to also invest in crypto. These investments that I made brought me to a place where I could cash them out and write a check to pay the student loan debt off. But I didn't do that. Now, I'm not telling you not to do that, but the way that I looked at it was, how much am I bringing in from these investments? How much interest are these student loan debts and servicing them costing me? And I was making more at that time off of the investments than servicing the debt was costing me. So it was simply a numbers game. Now, I do recommend most people, because many people do not have discipline, check out Dave Ramsey. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but honestly, Dave Ramsey and his plan can really give you hope, can really help your situation out. So I urge that you check that out. Especially if you don't have the discipline, I think that his program will get you in the mindset and can really help you. But those are the decisions that I had to make. But the biggest thing was protecting my credit, being able to get to where I could make the investments. And I was learning during that time as well. I was learning the whole time so that I could really understand the investments. And when you're doing that, that's when opportunity shows itself. And that is how I fairly quickly, was able to get to a place where I could pay them off. But I wanted to put this story out there because I just hope it gives at least one person hope, letting you know that you can overcome, and don't take that attitude that it doesn't matter. I never depended on the government to pay them back. If that situation happens for you, then so be it. But I never depended on that. And as well, once I moved those over to private, the government paying them back was never going to happen anyway. Now, that's not something I knew to begin with, but that's something for you all to think about. If you do move them over to private, just know if you're expecting some sort of relief, you're not going to get it. But I took the loans out and I'm accountable for them. If you have any questions at all, please leave me a comment. Let me know. Put in the comment section, how much student loan debt do you have, or how much have you paid off? And if nothing else, if you have overcome that situation and you know what it's like, maybe you don't have your own channel, but try to inspire someone. A lot of comments go on about student loan debt, and a lot of people don't understand what it's about, how people get in this situation. And I don't think it's a thing where we should blame others, but it is ingrained in people to go to school, whatever the cost is. And a lot of times people simply look up and they're in too deep. So if you can inspire someone, you should do so. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.